Alright guys, welcome back to robotics. Today is a day where we're going to combine our servo motor here with another component that we learned about earlier in our class, the button. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create our schematic to make sure that we have our design correct so that we can wire, and then from there that we will be able to then code. Alright, so we have our whiteboard here. Let's go ahead and draw our noggin. We have our noggin. So here we go. This is our noggin. Alright, and then our servo motor here, we've already plugged it in from before, so I'm just going to leave it in there. So I'm going to draw our servo. Okay, and we have three signals here. We've got brown, we have red, and we have orange. Brown. Now brown needs to go to Gnd. We have red, which is got to go to 5V. And then we have orange, which we've connected to pin number 9. And again, pin number 9, you just find the 9 column, and then make sure you look at the S row. All right, so the orange is connected to pin 9 on the nano, or the noggin as we like to call it. Okay, so pin number 9. And if you remember, I'll put a little tilde here because pin number 9 is a PWM, which allows us to control our servo motor. Alright, so we've got that part. We've done that before. We've been working with that. Now let's add in our button. So I'm going to draw our button here. Okay. And again, our button has 4 legs. And if you remember, the top 2 legs are connected already, and the bottom 2 legs are connected already. Alright, so how does this work? Well, the top 2 legs, we need to connect to 5V. And let's see, 5V is over here. Just to make my life easier, I'm going to do one of these. It's a little circle. Alright, and you'll see what's going on here. So I'm going to have a circle here, which is the same thing as saying connecting to 5V. And then I have a resistor connected like that. So that's my 5V connection. Now, what else do I need? This also needs to connect to 2. Let me close this up here. So pin number 2. Now the bottom leg needs to connect to Gnd. Now Gnd is already up here. Rather than draw an ugly line going up there, I'm going to draw one of these. So black triangle means the black triangles are connected. So that means this is connected to Gnd. Now just to review, when we press the button, what's going to happen? Pin 2 is going to have a path, because when we press the button, the top and bottom become connected. So pin 2 will have a path to Gnd. So when we press it, pin 2 will be low. When we don't press it, the top row and the bottom row are not connected, and it will have pin 2 will then just be connected to the circle through the resistor, which is 5V. Okay, so when we don't press it, pin 2 is going to be high. Now, we're going to use a 10 kilo ohm resistor here. And if you remember, this resistor is called a pull-up resistor, because it's going to pull up the voltage to the high voltage, which is 5 volts in our situation. Alright, so let's go ahead and wire this. The servo motor is already wired, so we don't need to worry about that one. Let's get our button in here. So I'm going to take my button And it's good to, my legs here are a little bit squished, so I'm just going to even them out a little bit. Okay. So I like to put my button in first. There. All right. So what I've got here is a top row. Here and here, these are all connected because of the two legs on the top row. One side is in each side. Okay. Each leg is in one side. One leg from the top is on this side, and the other leg from the top is on this side. All right, same situation on the bottom. The bottom legs, one leg's connected to this row, one leg's connected to this row. Since the two legs are connected, both sides on row 3 here are all connected. All right, now let's put in our resistor. Our resistor, we see it, one side connects to 5V and the other side connects to the top side of the button. So let's get one of these. Let's find my 5V. My 5V is going to be right here. Okay. And let's connect it like here is fine. Like that. Okay. Now I get my resistor. This is my 10K resistor. Okay. One side of it connects to 5V. The other side of it is up here on the top row. And if you remember, the other thing that needs to connect to the top row based on our schematic here is pin 2 needs to connect to the top row of the button. So let's go ahead and grab, I got yellow in this case. Pin 2, we go to row number 2 and then, column number 2 and then the S row. So that's right here. And top row. Boom. All right, then my last one is the Gnd connection. My Gnd connection, so I'm going to use brown here. So that's this bottom row here. I'm going to use, I'll go over here to make it more clear, right here. And then Gnd, connected to Gnd, boom. Okay, things are good. Let me move this so that everyone can see. Let me zoom out my camera a little bit. There we go. All right, so now you can see my servo motor and my system, my wiring system here, and then my noggin. Now it's time to code to make sure that everything works all right. Okay, so we have a servo motor, so let's first include our servo library. Okay, and then we have, let's create a servo object. I'm going to call mine edmotor. And then we need our void setup function and a void loop function. All right, and let's set up our motor. Let's just get our motor working, make sure that that works. So we're going to say, let's set up our pin mode. Pin mode, we connected it to number 9, so 9 as an output. All right, and then we got to attach. So we're going to say edmotor, which is the name of my servo object, edmotor.attach 9. Okay, so now I've attached the 9 signal to my motor. And let's do in my loop edmotor.write 0. Oh, 0. All right. So once I upload this code, it should just jump over to 0. Let's make sure it does that. Oh, I always do this. Good idea to connect it, right? There we go. Okay. Oh, and then, wow, it's got tangled here. Hold on. Okay. All right. So it goes to 0. Great. now let's add our button here. All right. Now our button, we got to set up the pin mode. So let's go pin mode, and it's pin number 2. So going back to our schematic, pin number 2, right? So pin number 2 is our button. So that's a signal that we want to test. Now pin number 2 is going to be an input, because a button is technically a sensor. It's sensing touch, right? So we want to take input from the outside world. So that's why we're going to put input here. So now we got to do our conditional thing, where we ask questions based on the status, the reading from, not this, sorry, the button. So we'll do our if digital read to equals low, then comment do something else, comment do something else. All right. Now if you remember, we went over this. When you press the button, 2 is actually going to have a path all the way down to Gnd, which is the same as low. So when I press the button, 2 will be low. If I don't press the button, it will be high. So right here, if digital 2 is low, that means if I press the button, then I want to go, let's take this code here. I'm going to go to 0. Else, let's go to 180. All right, so if I press the button, it should go to 0. If I don't press the button, it should go to 180. Let's try it out. Okay, so it's at 180 because I didn't press the button. Now if I press the button, yeah, it works. If I press the button and I hold on to it, it goes to 0. If I let go, it goes to 180. Okay, great. So, now that we know that, I'm just going to throw up some challenges here in my comments. Challenge 1 will be, if I press the button, go to 45. Don't press the button, go to 135. Okay? All you got to do is change a couple numbers here. That should be pretty easy, right? So if I press the button, it should go to 45. If I don't press the button, make it go to 135. Okay, not bad. That's good. All right, so now let's do something a little bit more interesting. Let's say if I press the button, I want it to go 180, 135, 90, 45, 0. So it's going to do that whole sequence that we did with the for loop. So let's try that. So I'm going to take this out. So we're going to put in our for loop. For int I equals 0. I is less than 4 with an I++. Okay. So things are getting a little interesting now. I have a for loop, which is this guy, inside of my if. All right. So as we get more, add more complex code, this is what happens. We put things inside of things. Okay. But that's why we want to learn each piece step by step, so that when we start putting things inside of things, it doesn't get too confusing. Okay. So we're going to do it step by step. So don't worry. All right. So we got for int I0, I less than 4, I++. So whatever is inside here is going to increment, or it's going to do it 4 times. think. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 times. All right, so how do I do this? I want it to, when I press the button, I want it to go to 180, 135, 90, 40, 0. Can I do that? Let's see. So I'm going to say edMotor.write 180, because that's the first one, right? Then I want to go to 135. Now let's use my variable thing, right? So what I can do, let's go back up here. Let's do an int edbox. Remember, I like to use edbox as my variable name. And so now jumping down to here, we have to set edbox. So edbox equals 180. So then here, since edbox is 180 already, instead of saying 180 here, I just say edbox. All right, so when I first press the button, it's going to move the motor to 180. Then the first time I loop through, I want it to go to 135. So what I need to do is do edbox equals edbox minus 45. Okay, so at this point, the first time, it's going to say 180 minus 45 is 135. Then I say edMotor.write edbox. Okay, and then I'm going to say, let's wait 1 second in between each one. So it's going to, let's see how many times I need to go through. I need to move once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So will this code allow me to get all the way to 0? 1, 2, 3. Let's see, it's going to start at I equals 0 the first one, then I equals 1 the second time, then I equals 2 the third time, and then I equals 4 the fourth time, and at that point 4 is not less than 4, because 4 is actually equal to 4, and it'll stop. So it should do it 4 times, not 3 times. So I should be good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now once that's finished, I guess I could just stop there. And then if I don't press the button, where do I want it to go? Maybe I'll do edbox equals 0. And then let's do it, edMotor.write edbox, okay? So if I don't press the button, it's just going to send it to angle 0. All right, I've got some interesting code here. Let's see if this works. Connect. Okay, all right, so right now it went to 0. I didn't press the button, so it makes sense to me that it went to 0. Now if I press the button, what I expect it to do is first go to 180 and then tick over. Let's do this. Press the button. Oh. Uh-oh. Why is it going on 135? Why is it not going to 180? Whenever it's like stuff like this, it's either something with my math, or maybe there's something with the delays. Let's see. So it goes to, I say it goes to 180, right? But then it goes to, yeah, 180 here. And then it starts doing this. Okay. I think I know what's going on here. Maybe you caught it too. The reason I like to do this together is that I want you to kind of think with me, because that's how we get good at this. It's like seeing mistakes happen live and then fixing them, right? So you see I say 180 here, or edbox is equal to 180, and then I send it to 180. So it is getting that command. It is sending edmotor to 180, but then right away I start doing this for loop, and I say edbox equals edbox minus 45. 180 minus 45 is 135, and then it moves it to 135. So what's happening is that it's going 180 and then right away 135. So what I need to do is actually add one delay here. Okay, so a lot of times this delay thing so it's going to 180, but you can't even see it, it's just quickly going to 135. So now with that delay, it should work. Let's see. Okay, so let's press the button now, and hopefully it'll go to 180. Nice. All right, excellent. All right, so we got that working. The next challenge, so for you guys, challenge number 2, is I want you to keep going on that. So, so when I press the button, it's going to tick from 180, 135, 90, 45 to 0. Right? So that's what it does now. Press the button. Okay? But I want you to, when I don't press the button, right now it just goes to 0, right? Okay, it does that, and it goes to 0. So actually that's what I have right now. So I want you to make it so that when I press the button, it goes 45, 90, 135, 180. And then when I don't press the button, it goes to 0 still. Okay, so it's kind of to reverse it. So I'm going to reverse it. When I press the button, it should go 0, 45, 90, 135, 180. Okay, and then when I don't press the button, it just stays at 0. All right, not bad, not bad. I'm going to comment this stuff out here. I'm going to try one more thing before I let you guys go. Okay. So let's bring back the original code that if I press the button, note that right, it goes to 0. And then when I don't press the button, it goes to 180. So upload this, just make sure that this works. Okay, so if I press the button, it goes to 0, let go, 180. All right, so that's the original code that we had. Now, here's the challenge. What if I want to make it so that it'll only go to 0 if I hold it down for 2 seconds? Can we get that to work? So right now, if I press the button, it goes like right away. When I press the button, it just immediately goes to 0. I want it to be like if I press it for 1 second, it won't move. It's only if I hold it for 2 seconds that it moves over there. How am I going to do that? Okay, so this question is a little tricky, and there's a few different ways to do it, but let's kind of dive into it. Let's think about this. So right now, what happens is we have a look at how the code is executed. So inside a loop, what happens is that it does, it tests here, did you press the button? If so, right away goes to 0, right? So we don't want that. So we want it, so let's say it's this piece of code. So inside the situation where it's tested, yes, you've pressed the button, but I want to make sure that you've pressed it for 2 seconds before I actually move to 0. So what I can do is this. What if I put in a delay 2000 here? So I'm saying once you've pressed the button, I'm just going to chill here. This is the noggin. The noggin says I'm just going to chill here for 2000, which is 2 seconds. 2000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds. And then I'm going to test you again. If the button is still pressed after 2 seconds, only then I will move to 0. So let's say, then inside there we're going to put another if. If digital read 2 equals low, and this is, we're going to put like that. This is like that. Okay? And we don't always need an else, so we can just say, well, you know, we could put it in just to be clear, else, but we'll just say do nothing. Okay? Let's see if this works. And just to recap, it's always good to kind of make sure we're on the same page. What this is saying is once I press the button, what happens is that it's going to jump into this, this piece of code that says, I'm just going to chill for 2 seconds. And then after 2 seconds, it'll test again, is it still low? If it is low, then go to 0, else don't do anything. And then it pops back out and then just starts looping again. All right, let's see. This one's a little bit tricky. Just want to expose you guys to some more difficult challenges here. Okay. Now, hopefully if I press the button for 1 second, it should not do anything. Let's try it. 1. Oh. I think, oh, you know what? Probably because I pressed the button at first, and then 2 seconds later, around that, I press it again. So that's probably why it did this. So let's just, okay. Instead of, okay, so maybe you can, it only works if you press it for 1 second and then kind of let go. Okay, press 1 second, and then don't do anything. Okay, see, nothing has happened. Press it 1 second, and then just wait. Nothing has happened. Now if I press it for 2 seconds, now it works. Press it for 2 seconds, and there he goes. Okay, so just to recap, so why, that was a good issue that we just saw. Wait, watch, if I press it like this, and then press it again, see, it kind of messes up, right? And I don't know if you caught that as to why it's doing that, but before I let you go, let's look into the code and see why it's doing that. So if I press it one time, what happens? I press it one time, it's going to go into this code and just wait for 2 seconds, right? So what happens is that it's going to do nothing, and then for 2 seconds, and then it'll go to line 25 and see if it's low. So actually you can press it and make it jump to this 2 second thing, this delay, and then before it gets to here, press again, and then it will go to 0. So you don't have to keep it, you don't have to hold it down for 2 seconds. You can actually tap it, wait like 1.9 seconds, and then tap it again, and it'll still work. So it doesn't work perfectly. So let's try that. I'm gonna tap it, and then tap it again. Oh, it actually didn't work that time. Let's try it again. I'm going to tap it again. See? So it's kind of like whenever you're trying to build systems, if your code's not perfect, there's actually a way to hack it. So let's say I said, okay guys, this is my system. It will only work if you hold it down for 2 seconds. Okay? That's true. You saw that here, but then if you kind of played with it and then you got to understand my code, you can figure out a way to hack it. You can say, well, actually, if you press it like that and then press again, you can actually get it to work as well. So my code's not perfect, but it works, in general in kind of the basic situations. So this is a good example too of how if you don't have good code, people can kind of hack your system, and these are little weaknesses in your code. So next time, we can talk about how to bulletproof this. That's the term people use to make it so that people can't kind of hack your system. But anyways, this is it's okay code, I would say. But based on this, let's give you the last challenge. So challenge 3. So right now, this code right here is when I press the button, what happens is that press the fucking button for 2 seconds, it goes to 0. Don't press, it goes to 180. Goes to 180. So I want you to make it so that it works like this. So when I press the button for 2 seconds, it goes to 0. When I press the button for 3 seconds, it goes to 90. Well, you know what? Let's make it easier. When I press the button for 1 second, you know what? Let's just make it like press the button for, I guess, something like press the button less than 2 seconds, go to 90. Okay, so just to recap, when I press the button for 2 seconds, it should go to 0. If I press the button for less than 2 seconds, like 1 second or half a second, it should go to 90. And if I don't press the button, it goes to 180. All right? Should be an interesting challenge. All right, so that's the assignment, the challenges for this week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Take care, and I'll see you guys after the break.